Hey guys, Saturday morning, just waiting to start the day. The end goal of any martial arts is to develop effortless power so that we can do what needs to be done without notice, without warm up, without training, and save our bacon. That's why it's important, this is a bit of a spin off, but it's why it's important to understand that Wing Chun is not fighting. Wing Chun is self defense. It's also important to understand that self defense is actually more brutal than fighting. But that's for another time. So don't think self defense is a bit girly. It's if I'm already in second place, I've got to be really brutal to end up in first place. So the normal training structure, listen to these bits, normal training structure of Silam Tao, Chum Q and Bill G. These are really just range of motion exercises that encompass all of the moves we would ever need to practice Wing Chun. They're not magic, they're not special, but it allows us to have less choices, which means we'll make our decisions quicker decisions. You know how it goes, we spoke about this. So it's really about doing the forms is really about creating a gentle training curve. Back in the day, people would go to a village somewhere, a couple of 100 miles away, wherever. They'd spend 3 months there training with a master, and they would learn everything in 3 months. It didn't take them 20 years. And then they'd go and do their stuff. They were more motivated because they were living with violence and they wanted to solve a specific problem. If we can get ourselves into that mindset, we as well, our time is a bit different, but we could do it in the equivalent of 3 months if we were training for, say, 4 hours every day, 6 hours every day. So that would be whatever it is. But definitely you could learn everything in Wing Chun in 2 years. But we require a steeper learning curve. And so this movement, which in Wing Chun is introduced as a warm-up for the pole. In every other martial art, this is a boxing exercise. It's shadow boxing. It's a shadow boxing form. I mean, in boxing, boom, boom, you'll see people walking across the gym. So it's everywhere. It's in every martial art, and it's got different purposes. If we use this, it's going to be a steep learning curve because we will keep bumping into things we don't understand. But that's fine because then we say, okay, let's look at that. Let's break that down. And so in the same way, we'll find out problems that are usually treated in Silam Tao. We'll find out problems that are usually treated in Chum Q, problems that are usually treated in Bill G. We'll just be doing them in situ, and we'll be doing it 5, 10, 15 years earlier. So when we look at this movement, we want to break it down, see what's happening. And we need to understand, where does it start? And that's not as simple a question as we may think. Where does this movement start? And depending on how deep you're into this stuff, you could say it starts with a thought. So are we thinking correctly? But if nothing else, if we don't go down that path, because that's really, that gets a bit foggy, it starts with stillness, because all movement starts with stillness. It starts with stillness, then the intention to move away from stillness. And if we can get that sorted out, that's the biggest hurdle. So if I'm here, dude, how do I move? So I need to understand, where's my body weight? How do I move my body weight where I want to go? How do I secure my body weight so it doesn't work against me? So these movements, this is not me pushing off the floor. This is using biomechanics. When this leg twists, when it rotates externally, it sends a wave, which is created by torsion, sends a wave of kinetic energy down into the floor. And of course, I get return force of the same magnitude coming back up from the floor. So if I'm here standing like this, we can see that my balance is straight down the middle. What do you think is going to happen if I pick up one of these legs? And just pick it up, don't try and move something. So pick it up, and right away I fall. But falling is all of my body mass moving without inhibition to do a job. So it's learning to fall, learning to accept the fall, learning to control the fall, learning to direct the fall. And it sounds weird, but we do it all the time. So a lot of this training, a lot of this so-called advanced training in Wing Chun is understanding how everything we need is already out there and we've done it 1,000 times. We'll see if we can get a bit clearer. I was doing it with Salah last night, doing it with the boys last week. I'm going to do it again today, see if we can make it clear. And as always, the idea is for you to bring up questions so that we can deal with it. Training is a circle. Training isn't a linear progression. So if you're involved in anything that's got this linear progression, especially grades, that's designed so that you've got a really shallow learning curve. And obviously it's only designed to get you about the first 1/8 of the way, because the circle's going to go right round. We could begin our training on the dummy. We could begin our training on the pole. It would be, you know, we come into some problems that we would have to really dig in to solve, which we would normally do through the soft progression of Sin Tau Chung Q Bill G, but it would be, you know, we'd get there, it'd be really quick. Think about if everyone's ever went to play tennis. What's the first thing you do? The very first thing you do when you want to play tennis, you try to hit the ball. You don't worry about grip, you don't worry about shape, you don't worry about stepping. You try to hit the ball, and the ball usually goes all over the place. And because of that, I say, oh, well, how did that happen? Someone says, well, you've got to step in a certain way, you've got to turn in a certain way. There's no, oh, I can't teach you that until you're doing Bill G. See what happens when the guys come in, see if it make more sense of this. Effortless power. Yeah. Which is what we're all after. Effortless power is understanding how to use our body weight as a weapon. Yeah. So even the smallest move is me using my body weight. And this is where it gets confusing. So our training is about understanding how to make these really small, easy moves. And then the next step after that is, how do I impulse power into these little easy moves? So when we're looking at this exercise here, first thing we want to do is understand the relation. So we look at this again, we look at it on the 3 levels of the surface level. We've got a number of movements here that can be used for self-defense. Then we've got, on the second level, we can look at it as a range of motion, like a kinetic exercise or calisthenic type of thing, understanding the relationships. And the third is, how do we get this type of thing to be powerful? Does that make sense? Okay, good. So if you stand like this, yeah, a little bit wider, and let yourself sink a bit. So you want to feel your weight in your legs, yeah? Yeah. Can you pick your knee up? Touch your hand with your knee. Don't lean, stay exactly in the same shape and just pick up your knee. And look what happens, you move. Yeah. You're not trying to move.
I just pick up.
What's happening is this movement is taking us out of balance and we're falling. Yeah. But if you bumped into something in the middle of that fall, you would hit them with all of your body weight. Okay. But our nervous system doesn't like this, because it thinks we're falling and it'll try to fix it, which is what it wasn't your thinking that made you go like this, it was your nervous system. So we have to do these little exercises so that our nervous system is going to allow us to fall. So it's just knee up, knee down. Don't step, just knee up, knee down. That's it. And you're moving almost 1/2 meter.
Yeah.
So that's power. Make sure you're not pushing out of your leg, because later on, we'll learn how to push once we're moving. So like I'll be falling and then just put a small impulse of power into the push. So the first thing is literally to be here and bringing it up really small, and we see how I'm actually moving as I do this. That's good. And the real power comes from allowing our weight to fall down the leg that's still in contact. Because when the weight falls down here, equal amount of power comes up. That's what pushes me. And it's really simple. And it's just, we think, how can this possibly be power? How can this be used in fighting? Where this leads to eventually, once we're comfortable, I can then take this knee somewhere, like take it over there, and I'm being accelerated. See, now you're being accelerated. And you're still not trying to move. You're just lifting a leg up. So if I take my knee towards you, my weight comes towards you. Do you understand that? Yeah. So I'm here, you do something, I just lift my leg up and I'm falling forward. And then as I'm falling, I do a very simple, very easy movement. Yeah. So we start from, so when we're looking at this exercise here, this movement where my knee is coming up, my body is turning, it's not me trying to push myself forwards. So it's really this move. And because I've got to turn, It's actually creating more power going down the leg. So this move here, which is this. Yeah. So if I was just standing still, this here. But when I do this after I've lifted this knee up, it sends power, torsion, energy down my leg and pushes me forward faster. Yeah. Don't reach with your front leg. The front leg is just going to catch us because we're falling.
Yeah.
So I'm just make sure that leg, so it's just knee up, knee down. That's it. And you can feel you're almost jumping now.
Yeah.
So that's how we can make it more powerful. Just knee up, I'm moving, and then I turn my body as quickly as possible. Just my upper body, that's it. So try to coordinate everything so it's all happening. So as soon as this is coming up, this wants to be coming round. The more weight can fall down this leg, the more return force comes up it. So this isn't me stepping. This is me turning and dropping the weight into this leg to power this leg up here. And then I just let the turn. So I'm turning, which is creating the power. So this turn is happening really well. This is still half in midair. Yeah, so what we were doing here, this is happening now with a turn here. And if we think that as my hand would hit my knee, I start to punch at the same time, boom, boom. But later on, I can turn this, the whole leg as it's coming up, so I can point it in the direction I want my weight to travel. So if I was here and I wanted to come at you, I'd just do this, look. At first, I want to get this timing. It's only a timing thing, yeah. And it's helping me make sure your knee is coming up though, because we don't want our knee to go forwards. It only points, otherwise we don't fall the way we want to fall. So the next step, once we're really comfortable with that, is here. And then we're going to add them all together. So as this comes up, this goes out, this comes around. Yeah, so. That's it, because it's this side of the body turning that's creating the power.
Okay.
So you can see now you're defending and striking. But knee up, don't try and move yourself. And our brain will identify something here, think it's a pattern, and try to just play a pattern like playing a recording. So your brain will push off this leg. And that doesn't have the power because it's no longer free fall.
Yeah.
Now I'm pushing something.
Okay.
So I want to be from here. So this movement here is me falling into my back leg. Not me falling into this one, not me falling into here. So the weight is coming down into here. Now where it gets wacky in relationship to this sequence of movements is there are other things going on. So here, this is a completely different mechanic. This is me using that same torsion to, like skating, to slide me across. And I can feel how it's created a lot of spring quality. That now when I pick up that knee, I spring forward again in the opposite kind of motion, if that makes sense. So when we're doing this movement, I've got one idea here, and I've got one idea here. It's not a continuation, it's not the same movement. They're totally different ideas. And, and then if we're talking about the Shaolin Archer, the reason this is significant is in the Shaolin Archer, what I'm really, because obviously I'm not learning to fire a bow, I'm learning how to put my hand over the top of my other hand, which is why I could be here. So I've gone forward here to defend myself. I could be in the dark, I could be blind. I know where my hand is and I can come straight over the top of my hand. And organizing my body pattern in this way, I'm always just putting my hand over my hand, putting my foot where I want my hand to go, and then coming over the other hand. And it sounds complicated, but we do it every fucking time we go to the fridge. We walk up to the fridge door, we open it, we turn out the way, we pick something up, we turn back, we close the door. I mean, that is such a complex movement. Like I was saying the other day, the very first move is standing still. The second move is the intention to move, or the second, whatever we want to call it. So, because if I'm here, I don't feel like I'm going to do anything. So this is really quite useless. So I need to say, okay, I'm here, but I'm really kidding people up because I'm ready to move. And I feel on the start, I feel my body do things. And so if I need to move, boom, it's here. So this next component, what we're doing, it's this rotation on top of this leg while I'm in an unbalanced position, even without picking this foot up. I just turn that, boom. Even if as long as I'm not reaching with my foot, I can step. As long as I don't do this, because the body isn't the first thing moving, is it? So I can go like this, and the same mechanics are taking place. So we don't want to let things kind of fuck us up. So this rotate, when I'm in a relatively unbalanced position for one leg, this turn creates torsion, pushes me forward. So if I'm here without moving, this turn is creating that same force, and I can feel that how this has increased, how the pressure on my front foot has increased. So the same force is there. So even from here, we now think of that as a chock, a handbrake, I pick that up and I've moved. And really this is how we move in Chun Kyu. I'm creating that torsion, create the torsion, create the torsion, create the torsion, release the handbrake. So when I'm here, I've created that force. How do I increase this force? I just allow the load of my body weight to go more into it. And simply thinking of it as a spring, how do I squash that spring?
Releasing the knee, is it?
Well, whatever. I mean, it's conceptual. It's up to you. I mean, that's the mechanical way. But we also have to release the hip. We also have to soften the ankle. There's a lot there, isn't it?
I suppose,
This is a force multiplier. Boom.
Yeah.
And then through self-awareness, as soon as I feel that my body is moving, I can now push the floor, or rather just extend my leg, because I'm already mobile.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to push this to make me
You're not
move.
pushing up either, you're pushing the ground.
Yeah, I'm pushing down,
Yeah.
increasing more load in the spring,
yeah.
which is giving me more coming the other way. So
You're not propping up.
No.
You're pushing down.
So we're doing it in these really extreme situations so that we can see it clearly, but it works here because there's 3 inches each side of my balance point there.
Yeah.
So I just turn, boom.
And we don't really.
Again, the 3 really important connections for us to even go to the fridge. Hand and foot must go to the same place.
Shoulder and hip.
Yeah, well, let's walk up. Yeah, knee and elbow must go to the same place. Shoulder and hip go to the same place. And first time I was introduced to this, I'm thinking, how can I think of all these things? And of course we don't, because if I'm at that range, it's hand and foot. If I'm closer, it's elbow and knee. I'm not thinking of not stepping where my foot can get stood on. And if I'm really close, it's shoulder and hip. So what's the common denominators of these 3 movements? It's controlling my trunk. Yeah, absolutely. It's really important, and this is harder than you may think. It's important to not allow my brain think that this is move 1 and this is move 2. This is not easy.
They both move one, aren't
They both move 1, yeah.
They're separate moves, yeah.
But once I can go, yeah, move 1, move 1, move 1, move 1, move 1, move 2, move 3, move 4, because that's what my brain wants.
Yeah.